Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. And man, this is going to be an exciting one. So this is like, I don't know, in some ways peak fandom for me, I guess. You know, I was 8 years old at the time. You were probably 7 or 8 as well.
Yep.
I love this era. I don't even know if it was good. You know, like it wasn't the best.
Doesn't matter.
Era, but it was like my era. Like these were the first house shows I went to. And I mean, this is when I was eagerly waiting for the 10 a.m. show on Saturday mornings to start. And I mean, I was still buying into it hook, line, and sinker. So like in this era when Hogan was stripped of the title and then Flair, the Royal Rumble. I mean, I bought it. Like I was watching it like it was a real sport. Like I believed that Jack Tunney made a very difficult decision for, you know, the pro wrestling industry. So I'm excited to cover this and talk about these guys, and this should be a lot of fun. How did this match hit your radar?
Yeah, it was kind of the apology to our listeners after last week's kind of stinker of match that we had. Just kind of getting into some better stuff here. I say March is a reset. We're leading up into WrestleMania and stuff like that, which it's still mid-April, so we got a little bit of time. But I promise everyone, March will have a lot better matches than we had in February, and so not that they were bad, but just sometimes you got to cover the stinkers in between stuff. So, but this was one really that, like I said, that dichotomy of what we were seeing in WCW versus what WWE was putting on, even at a house show. And so this was one, again, the timeline kind of lines up on this one of when it occurred. We're March 92. He said, what in March 92, did you really have much bigger names than this? I see some of them on the card. This card is stacked. It's incredible. But overall, it's just, you got to cover it. Like this one, I'm hoping is one we can tell fans, go back and watch this one.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for the match. I'm excited to talk about things. I think we'll probably spend a lot of time talking about Sid because we really haven't covered a lot of his stuff. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us. So, all right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so 1992. And like I said, this is just, for me, peak fandom. It's the road to WrestleMania 8. It's March 23rd, 1992. We're at the Garden in New York City. We start off with Tatanka defeating Colonel Mustafa in 8 minutes. El Matador and IRS go to a 20-minute time limit draw. I don't know why that's funny, but I mean, how many time limit draws did we ever do? None.
Especially between those two.
Yeah. And then you're like looking at the card, you're like, hey, can you guys go 20? And then that way, we don't have to, have anyone lose. Just kind of odd. Rick Martel is going to defeat J.W. Storm in 9 minutes. Jeff, what's your favorite J.W. Storm match?
Boy, I'm going to have to go back in the history of here. I feel almost like a terrible wrestling fan to see like that we have not covered more, JW Storm matches, but we'll fix that. I promise.
Yeah, it's tough to pick just one. Right. Bret Hart and this is a fun one. Bret Hart and the Bushwhackers are going to defeat the Mountie and the Nasty Boys in 13 minutes. The Warlord is going to defeat Jim Brunzell in 10 minutes. Shawn Michaels, accompanied by Sensational Sherry, is going to defeat Virgil in 12 minutes. And then your main event, Hogan and Piper, who were bitter enemies for many, many years, are going to team up and they're going to go up against Ric Flair and Sid Justice. So what a fun match, man. I'm excited. All right. Talk us through 1992 WWF.
This one's just kind of, just crazy, like you said. You really had 92 in them transitioning away from Hulkamania. Yes, he's in this match, but trying to kind of move forward on this one. You had Flair, though, as the kind of top heel champ at the time. And, the Madison Square House shows at this time were used for like pairing people that wouldn't normally be paired up, and like things that didn't need to be paid off on pay-per-view necessarily, or that weren't going to be paid off on pay-per-view, so to kind of build a little bit at this point. And so, because people weren't following this as close as some of the behind the scenes stuff, and there are some weird pairings on this one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that Bret Hart Bushwhackers and Mountie Nasty Boys match, I'm all about that, and so like that's exciting to see. I'm sure Shawn Michaels did most of the carrying against Virgil in their match, and so but looking at the different people that were involved in this one, like I said, Piper came back, Survivor Series 1991 as the baby face. You had, in just a little bit after this, he had his match with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8, and kind of everything that was going on there. And like you said, him and Hogan had a long history as well too at this point. But a big part of what the story was being told up until this point was the Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan part of this. So at Royal Rumble, you actually had Flair winning the championship. That early kind of 1992, you had Hogan repeatedly challenging Flair, talking about Flair's cheating, the heel tactics, all that different stuff. That was playing out on Primetime Wrestling and Superstars. On the house shows, though, they were doing matches between the two of them. This says matches across the Northeast, but you had frequent DQ or count-out finishes, and matches rarely advertised as title changes to protect Flair. And so, yeah, they were having matches, and this is like one of those where, if we can have friends be enemies or enemies be friends. So I think that plays in a lot to all this. We also have Sid Justice, as we said, haven't talk about him a whole lot here. But that Rumble show, Sid 92, while Flair won the championship separate from the Rumble, Sid won the Rumble. And so you figure, okay, he's got the rocket on his back. But then you had him taking on Hogan at that WrestleMania 8 as well. But, so he's kind of playing that heel as well, too, to Hogan a little bit. And so they had a little bit, they were building to that Hogan stuff. So just a lot of moving pieces, very much playing into the heel versus face roles on this one, and kind of what they were. And really, it's give the crowd what they want type thing. And that's exactly what it was. And so, why, though, this kind of played out like it did is at the time, WWE, Hogan versus Flair, it was too big of a match. You couldn't just do this on a random weekly show and be like, oh, great. Like, you had to make sure that there was a reason for the two of them to have a singles match. Kind of some of the reading I was doing, it said Vince did not want the first clean Hogan-Flair interaction on free TV. And so, well, this, necessarily not free TV, but that playing into that is a pay-per-view level match, and he's right, absolutely. But you're able to see them interact though via the tag match and how that was going in. This match too, like I said, I talked a little bit about WrestleMania because WrestleMania was locked in. Like, you had Hogan versus Sid, you had Savage versus Flair that was planned out. We knew we weren't doing Hogan and Flair at Mania, or they knew. And so this way they could do this. It doesn't mess up the overall plans, and they can kind of move forward. So, yeah. So a lot of moving pieces. Like I said, I have no clue what direction this is going to go. I have no clue what kind of wrestling this is going to look like, but I'm excited either way.
Good, me too. I'm glad we found this one. Pumped to cover it. We have the Daily Motion full matchup. Looks like the channel on that's called WWE Vault. It's not the real WWE Vault, right? It's just a ripoff one, probably.
I believe so, but WWE Vault's all over the place, so I don't know. But
yeah, so I don't know. Maybe. Yep. Okay, cool. Well, either way, we got the clip pulled up. Are you ready, Jeff?
Absolutely.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event.
Lord Alfred Hayes,
team contest.
This may be
for
one of the greatest battles we have ever encountered.
Team number one.
That is exclusive to Coliseum Video.
All right, so Harvey Whippleman's out to introduce Sid. Don't know if I necessarily needed him to be part of that presentation, but I guess they needed someone to cut some promos for Sid and be a little bit of a mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest man in the World Wrestling Federation. The man who rose.
I love this song. I don't know why.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
We all know of the credentials of Sid Justice. He has found success.
All right, so Sid looking like $1 million, a legit 6'9", believe that or not. 6'9", over 300 pounds. I mean, this is one of, I think, the more unsung heroes and underrated wrestlers. I mean, you know, obviously a little bit of an interesting guy, so he was kind of in and out. But I mean, you think about, you know, he had runs in WCW. He had this run here. He comes back a few years later and takes the title from Shawn Michaels 4 years after this. He was a world champion in WCW. Here we go.
Justice's tag team partner from Charlotte, North Carolina, weighing 242 pounds. He is.
So bring the heels out first here. You got, I can see the Hogan dolls in the crowd, all that good stuff. Yeah. The foam fingers, which need to make a comeback, of course. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. I mean, you look at obviously like this era versus then. I mean, the differences in entrances. I mean, it's funny. Like my 5-year-old, he enjoys the entrances as much as the matches. You know, so it may, you know, I mean, now they're just kind of walking to the ring. I mean, even on pay-per-view, that's kind of what they did versus something, you know, the iconic stuff you see now.
I hate the wrestlers already in there. We don't get their entrances sometimes where it's during an ad break, or like that is such a great moment of who they are and giving them character. Like I'm actually like, I don't mind. It's weird because I don't mind a match starting. Like we come, I don't know. It's a weird needle that you got to thread. Yep. Coming out together though, the faces.
So that's cool.
Look at all the folks they're here. Piper looks great.
Sure, no matter how these two combine their talents, Hogan and Piper, I must say that they're probably one of the most
Who's that on
impressive.
commentary?
Lord Alfred Hayes and Sean Mooney.
That's right. Okay.
And interesting, you know, seeing Piper with the Intercontinental title. Obviously, it was a short reign, but I think that was the only title he ever held, to the best of my knowledge. He was never. I don't think he's ever a world champion. And he was a tag team champion with like Ric Flair later on in his career. But it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, just the reaction of the crowd. Flair and the heels versus the face and Hogan. Like we were talking about that top 20 list last week. Like, you know, it's just crazy to think. Yeah.
Sid should have been one of those guys who was in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago. And it's just disappointing. I mean, you know, you wish these guys all had an opportunity while they're alive to be able to, you know, get up there, get the ovation, get the respect. You know, and I don't, who knows, maybe they asked him at some point and, you know, he declined or whatever, but just a little disappointing. It would have been fun to see him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's because, and we've seen it. Like, it has turned around a lot of wrestlers, like Jake the Snake, like DDP, and what he's done. Like, for as much as it gets shit on sometimes, like I do wish it was a bigger event. I think we've said it in the past. I wish they wouldn't do it around WrestleMania because it does a disservice to it, like taping it after a SmackDown on a Friday night. Like, it's not right. Like, they could make it this giant star-studded event and, like, bring in celebrities, and of course the pipe dream is the actual standalone physical Hall of Fame, which would be incredible, and probably 10 years off at this point, maybe five to 10. But I think that, like I said, it diminishes it by making it seem like, oh, we're going to record it after, and we're going to give them, they're going to talk for 30 minutes and you're going to have to sit there. And by the end of it, the camera, we get the picture from the fans there and there's no wrestlers left, which is just like terrible. Like, I hate that. And so you don't want that for them. Even if they did, every couple of months they induct somebody in the Hall of Fame, like, to have it be throughout the year, tag it with, or put it with something else, so that, let them record a 30-minute speech, but then do something different, like, because they're passing that knowledge down to wrestlers too. And so I thought it was really interesting. I read an article because not that long ago they retired Red Wings. I'm a Red Wing fan, and they retired Sergei Fedorov's jersey. And they had a lot of the old, of course, players there. And one of them was Viktor Konstantinov, who we all know was in the car accident. It was in a wheelchair. He's been in a wheelchair since. But, like, a lot of the younger players didn't know who he was and his contributions. And so I just don't like that. It diminishes that even to a degree. And I think it's a good analogy for this. Like, the Hall of Fame should be a big deal. And sometimes it's not always treated that way.
Agreed. Yeah, I still, to me, not getting Hogan Flair WrestleMania is still one of my biggest what ifs of all time. I mean, the challenge was, what do you do? Because Hogan was going to take some time off. So how do you end WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan losing to Ric Flair?
Right.
So they painted themselves a little bit into a corner there, unfortunately. And then the clunky finish. Well, we don't want Sid to lose to Hogan, but we want to send everyone happy. And then the Warrior comes out, and it was just, it's a shame because I think that all of this could have been better in hindsight, but it was a little rough. And Brett Piper at WrestleMania 8's a very underrated match. And I mean, that really was the passing of the torch. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, like they were kind of locked into what they had to do for that WrestleMania 8. But I do wonder the same type thing. Like, this year, I think it was early February that they were, not even January, where I think we were seeing reports of WrestleMania is locked in. How many times has it changed since then? Like, yep. It's all over the board. Like, it has to be, whether it's injuries, whether it's how, fans are reacting, whether it's what's happening. Like, I saw, some like wrestlers are having visa issues. Like, so sometimes you just got to kind of pivot to what's happening and what's going on. And yeah, it's tough. It gotta be.
So I have not been on wrestling Twitter in months, and I'm really trying hard to genuinely be surprised. Like, yeah. I have very little idea of what's going on, what's happening, what people are angry and pissed off about, and who people want to cancel, and what someone said during an interview that offended people. I have no idea. And it's frankly, it's been very refreshing. I'm just trying something different where I just tune in on Mondays and Fridays and just watch.
Yeah. What's your timestamp? I just had a buffering going on.
Oh, sure. No problem. Yeah, I'm at 9:13, 9:14, 9:15.
All right, I'm with you.
Cool. So we got Oh, there you go. There's your hot tag to Hogan.
There's your hot tag.
They
Yeah.
never get the chance to get in.
Hogan really is a gentleman.
I feel like I can count three of the Wrestle Buddy Hulk Hogan's just alone on the hard cam side. Like, just, I believe you recently acquired one, or not that long ago acquired a couple of them, right? Yeah, I know I saw those at your house. Yeah.
Well, I bought one. Yeah, I bought one for my son, and then I ended up finding my old one. So my original one, which is pretty cool.
That's it's always good. I know when I was home over the holidays, Mom always got stuff to show me, and so down in the basement, like, she still has all my old, the wrestler toys and stuff like that. But then I had like a big like pull string Hulk Hogan too that was like 12 inches tall. So, but that again speaks to no matter how you feel about him, what he contributed to wrestling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sid's certainly a what if, just of like, what if this guy didn't come and go so many times?
Yeah, and some of the injuries, I think just not that long ago, I saw the broken leg as well too, and having that, and so yeah, just crazy. Yeah.
Well, and he's one of those guys where I actually think he was pretty good as a heel and pretty good as a baby face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when people decided they loved him, I mean, he had it was kind of interesting. I mean, he did both roles pretty well.
So, looking at it here, normally you pull this up, but I got us covered this week. Top Sid Justice matches. This list coming on this one, only a 3.75 star, but his best match, it has him taking on Shawn.
Yep.
It's Survivor Series 1996 for the championship. Yep.
Yeah, that has to be the pinnacle highlight moment of his career. I mean, that match, that MSG audience, I mean, it was wild.
And I will make sure that one's on our list. I don't know if it is or not, but I will make sure that we've got that one covered. Number 2 on this one, Shawn, Psycho Sid, and Ahmed Johnson taking on Vader, Owen Hart, and the British Bulldog from In Your House 9, International Incident 1996. Can't say I remember that one.
Okay, so that's the one where the Ultimate Warrior was supposed to partner with Shawn and Ahmed, but he walked out on the company.
Fired. Or he was gone.
So then Sid came in, and Sid had only been a heel, so Sid came in as a babyface to help out, and how they revealed, I remember the promo of how they revealed Sid was pretty cool. And what's funny about that show, if I'm not mistaken, it was International Incident, right? It took place in Canada. So they acted like they were having the show in like Iraq or something. International Incident. It was in like Toronto or something, Vancouver, Yeah,
I got to sell it. You got to sell the story. We did not have that Shawn Sid match. So when Survivor Series rolls around, we will make sure to cover that one. Next, you had the Raw match between Psycho Sid and Brett. It was a steel cage match in early 1997. Yeah.
And that's the one afterwards where Brett threw a hissy fit and started to like channel his heel, his inner heel. Okay. The International Incident was in Vancouver. There you go.
Yeah, of course, as we all know it to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
let's see.
The Brett thing, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but the thing that what's the old adage that the best wrestlers are just a extension of their natural self turned up to like a 12, right? Or a 15. Well, when did Bret Hart become the best work he's ever done? It was when he became a whiny heel. And that's what's so funny about it is like Bret Hart, when he was like turning heel and bitching and moaning about things, like he meant it. And so it's so funny how like, oh, well, Bret's kind of a sourpuss, whiny heel in real life. Why don't we just make that his character? And boom, guess what? He was a way better heel than babyface. So it just goes to show you the value of not trying to force these guys to play characters, but just turn the volume up on who they are.
Right. Yeah, and that's the best. I mean, it's always been the best approach. It's always been the angle. So, and so him and, like you said, him and Brett actually had a little bit of a series of matches at that time, which is what kind of led to Brett doing what Brett did. And so, yeah, and having that. Let's see here, the number 5, big one here, another Survivor Series match, 1995, the multi-man, Shawn, Bulldog, Sid, Ahmed Johnson, Razor Ramon, Shawn, Bulldog, Sid, Ahmed Johnson taking on Razor Ramon, Yokozuna, Owen Hart, and Dean Douglas. Yep. Psycho Sid and Brett. Yep. Another 1996 match in your house.
And he comes down hard.
It is really Brett and Shawn are all of his matches. They had a Royal Rumble match in 1997, Shawn and Sid as well, too, of course. Remember that one? Another Sid and Brett on Superstars. And Sid and Mankind is number 10 on Raw for the championship. Don't remember that one either, but March 3rd, 1997. That early 1997 was really his hot spot. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one to cover.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I mean, he had a nice run in WCW too.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he came back? Do you remember when Heath Slater was challenging all the legends?
Yeah, that was great.
Hulk Hogan drops a leg. Comes in with a cover. Sid Justice has got the chair. Plants it securely across the back of Hulk Hogan. I think that cut is...
Yeah, so Heath Slater was calling out the legends, and Sid was one of them that came back. It was pretty cool. That was his last, I think, appearance, if I remember correctly.
I think you could be right, yeah. So we got the chair, Sid using the chair, Flair going for the pin. Yep.
Uh-oh.
Now he seems to be impervious to any blow from Ric Flair. He survived a very hard shot.
And that's like trying to batter away at the Berlin Wall. Mind you, that came down. Hogan.
All right, so we got all 4 guys in the ring. So I got to look up. I'm curious on Sid's last match. So according to Cage Match, in 2008, Sid and Jerry Lawler wrestled.
Okay.
At USA Championship Wrestling.
Can't say I remember that one. Nope. Okay.
And prior to that was all his WCW stuff. And they did that Heath Slater match as well.
There you go.
Sure, right at the very end of this tremendous match, Hogan and Piper did come together. They did manage to coincide their tag team efforts there. They got synchronization, and consequently they got a well-deserved but a hardly fought victory there.
It was just a clothesline, actually. Hogan pinning Flair with on that one, yeah. But Sid trying to crawl back in, but Piper holding him. So, yeah, the face is celebrating the Hogan's thing.
All right, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
What'd you think?
Not bad. Like I definitely enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as you'd think, but also like it's still really good. Hey, to see these people in the ring doing what they do, like it just worked, and so that was good. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a house show match, but it was a lot of fun. That
was the closing match of a house show. That's a great match. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. If you're there, you're thrilled.
Absolutely.
You're thrilled.
So, lost my notes here. Getting there. I was looking up Survivor Series and Sid matches, and I closed the wrong window on myself here. All right, here we go. So, Aftermath on this one, we talked about how, the lead into Mania and kind of what, that was already planned in a lot of ways, but house shows in March and April really continued. Hogan and Flair having those singles matches. Hogan actually, 1992, that was his kind of before he stepped away a little bit. And so you had that out in the air, and that kind of rivalry, eventually we got it again for better or worse. So Flair on the flip side, him defending the title against Hogan and Piper. He actually started that program with Randy Savage. He ended up dropping the title to Savage, as we all know, and then he ended up having feuds with both Savage and Mr. Perfect through most of 1992. Piper, again, same type thing. He was kind of phased out, like he would come back occasionally, but really a special attraction at this point. But Sid Justice, this 1992, he was fully heel, taking on, a lot of the different baby faces, but then early 1993, leaving WWE. So, a lot of leaving, a lot of what ifs, a lot of this for some of these guys, I say end of their career, end of this kind of chapter, maybe a better way to look at it. So
it was just so wild back then. It was just so wild back then too, because remember Flair was gone a year later, not even a year later. So it's like, all right, this guy wins this Royal Rumble. He's your world champion. He headlines WrestleMania and he's gone within a year. And then Sid's nowhere to be found a year later.
Right.
It's just, it was just odd. It's like, again, just a different era. I guess you didn't have contracts. You weren't paying the kind of money you are now, but that stuff never happens now.
Yeah. It's crazy to see. And especially look at, Flair, Piper gone, Hogan gone, Sid Justice gone, what giant names at the time. And so to kind of have them dealing with that is just wild when you think about it, because it just kind of what it meant for the larger kind of business and what was happening. So 1992, no write-ups on this one because it was just a house show. There wasn't much out there other than the match occurred. Hogan was 12, Piper was 45, Flair was 3, Sid Justice was not ranked in 1992. So a lot of those moving pieces, guys coming and going, but what are you thinking for a score?
Look, I love this era and I love all of this. So to me, it's a 7.5. I just think it's cool. What about you?
Yeah, I'm at a 7. I'm right. Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard to overlook who was in the match. It's hard to overlook the participants on this one. I look at it as if this was the main event of a house show I went to, Madison Square Garden or not, I'd be losing my mind too in 1992. So I think that overall it's pretty good. Absolutely. So I'm going to give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7 to your 7.5. Yep. Cool. Okay. What do we got here? I promised a good March.
I'm very excited for next week.
I know you are. We're going to cover a very long match, actually. We're going to SmackDown 2005 with Kurt Angle and Marty Jannetty. I know we're a big fan of Marty Jannetty around here. Hope he's doing well. But we've got that one to cover. And so that will be our next match. We also have, this is where I have slotted in what could be one of the craziest matches I've kind of encountered in a long time here. This is a 2017 steel cage match between Cody Rhodes and Kurt Angle. 2017 Cody Rhodes and Kurt Angle. I saw a 1-minute clip of them having a match in a high school gym in a steel cage. And for Northeast Wrestling WrestleFest 21, we have found the full match. It's out there. We're going to cover that. And so, that is the start of, or Cody Rhodes' indie career and what he was doing, and Kurt Angle, his return to WWE. The week after that, though, in March, we have we're going to say farewell, the final WCW Nitro episode, the final match ever taking place, Ric Flair and Sting. And then I'll kind of hold it for now, but then our first WrestleMania match will take place at the end of March. And so all right. We've got some real fun ones over the next couple of weeks.
Good, man. I'm pumped to cover them.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Should be good stuff.
Well, appreciate everyone listening. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of What the hell?